So we come to Roger Moore's final outing as 007 at the age of 58 in A View to a Kill, and no offence to Roger at all, but he does look too old to play James Bond in this 14th James Bond film, his 7th. It is quite an achievement, the fact that he made 7 of the 23 Bond films, but I think Octopussy is where he should have bowed out gracefully from the series. Clearly, A View to a Kill was written for Roger Moore, but it does seem very interesting. It makes me think, how would Timothy Dalton have done if he'd started with A View to a Kill? I think he would have done particularly well with it. It's actually quite a good story. I think it's one of the more entertaining Bond films, actually. There are some interesting characters, and the story goes along at a nice pace, I think. It's actually one of the pacier Bond films, and there are some great sequences. City Hall on fire, Bond trapped in the fire with Stacey, Bond facing against Zorin, played by Christopher Walken, who is actually one of the best villains in the series. He's just a great character actor as well. And yeah, there are many redeeming factors of A View to a Kill. Many do consider, a lot of the Bond fans consider A View to a Kill to be one of the sloppiest of the Bond films, and many believe it to be Roger Moore's weakest James Bond film. I suppose in many ways it is his weakest performance as Bond, but out of his films, I think, I don't know, I think Man with a Golden Gun is actually weaker than A View to a Kill as a film itself. So, if we go right back to the very beginning, we have a nice disclaimer just before the gun barrel because, for the name Zorin, who is the name of the villain of the film, but apparently there was an industrialist called Zorin around the time that they were making the film, who the Bond producers thought that he might sue if his company name was put into jeopardy. The fact that they named their villain after Zorin. So they did put up a disclaimer at the very start of the film, saying that the name Zorin is not supposed to reflect any real people or companies. So they got away with that at the beginning. We have the gun barrel sequence as per usual, and Bond is tracking down the body of 002. In Siberia, I think it is, at the beginning of the film. So far, so good, although there is some very dodgy-looking back projection work with Roger Moore, some nasty close-ups that just look so obviously like Roger Moore has been filmed in a studio with a back screen. Roger Moore is clearly not in Siberia in this sequence. And there's a sequence where Bond once again is skiing. He's being chased down a ski slope, manages to ski over water somehow as well, which is ludicrous. And John Barry's score is great for the film. It's great, but for some reason, the Beach Boys, California Girls, is edited into the sequence where Bond skis over the water. I just don't understand why they did it. I still can't understand. It just seems like such a stupid idea for the editor to do it, and even for John Glenn, if it was his decision to decide that would be funny, because it just sounds stupid and it looks stupid as well. So it's not one of the best pre-credit sequence in the Bond series by any means. It's one of the least imaginative, I think. But we do launch into the opening title song by pop group Duran Duran, very popular in the 1980s, and this was, I think, one of their most successful songs, certainly in the UK. They sang the song A View to a Kill. It's interesting, actually, at the end of Octopussy, it says at the end of the credits, James Bond will return in From A View to a Kill, and that is actually the full title of the Ian Fleming story, From A View to a Kill, and in many ways I think that actually works better as a title, From A View to a Kill. But the film was just called A View to a Kill, so so we'll leave that at that. So Duran Duran sing the title song, quite a strange, very dull credit sequence from Maurice Binder, kind of lack of inspiration, I think, this time. It was full of fiery women, and it kind of had a very sort of Mayday feel to it as well. Sort of Grace Jones influenced, I think, the opening credits. Grace Jones obviously playing the character Mayday, one of the villains of the film, very flamboyant, and the less said about her, the better, I think. She makes for one of the more intriguing Bond adversaries. She does go up very well against Christopher Walken as well. They're both very sort of maniacal villains. So in that respect, they work very well together. The thing that strikes me the most with Roger Moore, I remember watching the film when I'd watched all the films back to back, from Dr. No to Casino Royale. Myself and my buddy Sean, we watched them while we were studying at uni. We decided one weekend we were going to sit down and watch all the Bond films back to back, and in true Alan Partridge style. And we just smirked at the Roger Moore noises that he makes, the old noises. If you watch the film, go to the sequence where he is pursuing Mayday up the Eiffel Tower, going up the steps, and she manages to trap him with the fishing line. And it's just... It is hilarious. It's clearly not meant to be funny, but it just gets a laugh from me every single time I watch it. It's a great moment, but it's so embarrassing for poor Roger Moore as well. I mean, the man is nearly 60. He shouldn't still be playing James Bond. It's very much like Harrison Ford playing Indiana Jones in the latest of those films. It just didn't look right. You get to a point where you think, okay, I am a little bit too old for this kind of stuff now. I mean, even it's even said by Danny Glover in Lethal Weapon, I think, I'm getting too old for this shit. It's true. I mean, Roger Moore was getting too old to play Bond, without a doubt, in A View to a Kill. There are lots of sub-characters in the film. Scarpine as well, who is a very superfluous henchman of Zorin. We have Patrick Macnee as well, fresh from the Avengers. Great pal of Roger Moore. Patrick Macnee actually has done the narration for the James Bond documentaries, which feature on the Blu-ray discs and the DVDs, if you got the DVD as well. He's done all of them from Dr. No right up to License to Kill, and his character is actually quite a good one. It's a nice aid to Bond in the film. We've mentioned Grace Jones, Christopher Walken, one of the more interesting Bond heavies, one of the better antagonists. But then we have some real misfires. We have Willoughby Gray, who plays Dr. Carl Mortner, who is on the side of the villains, and he's just a nonsense character, and it just doesn't play well in the film. He just looks like a bumbling fool for the majority of the scenes that he appears in. And Tanya Roberts as well, who actually, I think after Mary Goodnight, she is one of the weakest James Bond girls. There's just no chemistry between her and Roger Moore in the film, and Roger Moore's even said that in interviews. I think he mentions it on his commentary for A View to a Kill. I think he says not only is A View to a Kill uncommonly violent for a Bond film, it was actually one of the films that's now been upped to a 12 certificate in the UK from its original PG. So it was overly violent, and Roger Moore's a pacifist anyway, and so he clearly didn't like that side of it. But he also said that Tanya Roberts and Grace Jones were a real handful. They would take forever to get onto set, and there was just, you could tell there was just no real chemistry between the two of them, which is a shame in a way for Roger Moore's last Bond, because the ladies were such a big part of his Bond films. He had some really good ones actually in his tenure as Bond, but sadly, for his final film, it wasn't to be. So the film ends in true style. I mean, we opened Live and Let Die with the first scene we saw was Bond in bed with Miss Caruso, an agent, Madeline Smith, and we fittingly end A View to a Kill with Q snooping up on Bond with one of his gadgets. and Bond is sharing a shower with Stacy, and there's some of the dialogue is just shocking. She bends down in the shower, and you hear Bond saying, "That's not the soap." It's cringy, and the very last thing that Roger Moore says in any of his Bond films is the word "ooh." He literally says it like that in the shower, which kind of sums up Roger Moore's Roger Moore's time as 007 is definitely ooh. I think Sean Connery's was ah. George Lazenby was that's interesting. Different version. Roger Moore's is ooh. That is how we sum up Roger Moore's experience of playing James Bond. So he is the longest serving actor as Bond, 1973 through to 1985. And in many respects, as I've said earlier in this review, A View to a Kill is it's an entertaining Bond film. It isn't one of the best, but if you want some good sort of popcorn entertainment, it does have the watchability factor, I think. Sort of leave your brain at the door. There are some nonsense moments in the film, but one of the better villains in Christopher Walken, actually a great villain in the series, and despite Roger Moore getting quite old, he actually still seems to be having a good time in the film. There are some great moments in A View to a Kill. So, James Bond will return in 1987's The Living Daylights, and a brand new actor takes on the role of Secret Agent 007. Timothy Dalton will return as Bond in The Living Daylights.